So let's talk about this Rookie of the Year race, which Trae Young has made a lot closer than we thought it was going to be a few months ago. Luka came out of the gates red hot. Trae Young was struggling quite a bit early on, but the dude has been better than Luka, or arguably better than Luka, for, the last couple months, I guess. Credit to Luka. It's not like he's cratered, but his efficiency has fallen off a little bit, and I guess you could suggest that losing veteran teammates allowed that to happen. I think some of it is that Luka is not in the best of shape, so the grind is catching up to him a little bit, whereas Trae Young has, of course, been getting better all season. So I think the things you could look at for Trae Young to make a case for him over Luka would probably be, number one, he didn't have some not bad veterans to open up the season. I mean, I know the Hawks got vets between Bazemore and Dedmon and stuff, but I feel like there was a little bit more of a youth movement going on in Atlanta right from the jump, whereas, the team was like trying to lose, whereas the Mavs were trying to win, and they put like DeAndre Jordan out there and Harrison Barnes and Wesley Matthews, and you could argue that these guys aren't really that great, but they're clearly better than what Trae was working with early on. I think Rick Carlisle is a better coach than Lloyd Pierce. Who knows if he's the guy who's the long-term option for Atlanta. I've seen differing opinions on him. I have not watched the Hawks seriously enough, but even then I know Rick Carlisle is better than that guy. There's that. I think the playmaking that Trae Young has been showing pretty much all season, even when the shooting numbers were rough, could help his case as well. And it is pretty impressive, Trae Young's 8 assists a game, and I could get into the assist percentages, but I don't really feel like it. Given the team around him, Ken Bazemore, serviceable NBA player. Kevin Huerter, rookie. Taurean Prince, maybe a little overrated by NBA diehards. Maybe underrated by me, I don't know. But, nobody's going nuts over that guy. DeAndre Bembry looking like an actual NBA player this year. Maybe that's because of Trae Young. Maybe that's just his natural progression. Who really knows? But, the Vince Carters of the world, this is not a loaded roster. And for Trae Young's playmaking to be as good as it has been, and the way that he's kind of broken defenses with the spacing he creates, and then his ability to then make the play off of the spacing he just created, is really impressive stuff. And the fact that the threes have been going in for him now is something. But, of course, when it comes to Rookie of the Year conversation, a lot of it just comes back down to the stats. And while I can go crazy over the impact that Trae Young's shooting makes, for the season he's shooting 33% on 6 attempts a game, which I know it sucks the fun out of everything Trae Young, but unfortunately the whole season counts, right? You can't just go all in on the last couple of months. Now, of course, Luka at 33% on 7 attempts a game, it's not like his three-point resume is through the roof either, but if you were going to make it for Trae Young, then I just don't think it really holds up because of those numbers. And even then, it's not like Luka's playmaking is that far away from Trae Young either, so that puts a dent into that conversation as well. Luka's also got a pretty massive difference when it comes to rebounding, and I guess if you want to get into defense, I don't think either one of these guys is really impressing much with their defense. I think Luka's a better defensive player for whatever it's worth. Yeah, I think a lot of these come back to the idea of who you'd want moving forward, and that's a cool conversation to have, but specifically talking about Rookie of the Year. Yeah, I think Luka's got it. I think the starting the season really good and being that for quite a while and then tapering off a little towards the end is more impressive than being kind of bad, which Trae Young kind of was given his percentages, and then being really good to close out the season. I know it feels like it was a long time ago at this point, but Trae Young's November was pretty rough. The guy shot 19% from 3 on 5.5 attempts a game. He put up 14 points a game, and there was a bunch of games in there where he had less than 10 points, and in the grand scheme of the season, that's just 1 month, but I feel like that's such a big crater that you'd have to be so damn good around that. And certainly he's had better months, and of course, February and March he's been awesome, but Comparing that to Luka, who has not had a drastic drop-off at any point this season, I think that gives Luka the edge. I guess I can spend the last couple minutes here talking about moving forward with these two. So, Trae Young's the better passer. He just is. Now, Luka's a very good passer in his own right as well, and that's important, of course, but I think with Luka, he's going to always have more of an eye on finishing at the rim and getting to the free throw line and attempting those step back threes and all that, whereas I think Trae Young is going to be more focused on flowing within the offense, which I think typically means he's going to get more assists. Also, I think Trae Young just likes passing the ball more. I feel like Luka wants to score, but is very good at making the play happen, whereas Trae Young might even be a little bit of a pass-first kind of guy. So there's that, I guess. And the gravity that Trae is going to have. I don't know if Luka's ever going to have that. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where the step back three goes, because if he can get to nearly James Harden levels of impact, not even nearly, we'll say if he gets to 65% of James Harden's step back three gravity, then it could be a similar situation where Luka is kind of a one-man offensive show, where in the prime of his career, we could see him averaging, pretty wild numbers of 27, 28 a game and solid 6 to 8 assists and shooting 10 3-pointers a game and being efficient on those. Yeah, I mean, Trae Young, I think he's going to be an awesome player. He pretty much already is an awesome player. And I'm going to be on the bandwagon all the way through, and, depending on what the Hawks got with that pick, or what they do get with that Mavs pick, that could make it to where the trade never ends up looking that bad, but, yeah, I think Luka's going to end up being the better player, so that's pretty much what I got on these two. I think Luka's the Rookie of the Year. I think Trae Young has put in an admirable second-place finish. And I feel good about both of them moving forward. And Luka's got to lose some weight because he's kind of fat. And that's pretty much it.